I stream. Y'all can see by the title. We're nice and ready. Just got into the vibes, listening to Gunna. You already know. Kanye West has done some controversial shit again. Wore a White Lives Matter shirt to a fashion show or a concert. I'm not sure. Could care less where it was at. The fact is, he wore it. Twitter was in arms, specifically Black Titter. Titter, okay. Specifically Black Twitter. Uh, Pretty obvious why. And apparently he talks about it. He did an interview with Tucker Carlson, right? Well-known figure in the political space, I would assume. Whether he's infamous or famous is decided up to other people. Um, so we're gonna be seeing what he did, or what he did rather, or what he said to try and defend himself here, right? So we're just gonna jump into it. I'll be I'll be reacting as the video goes. Like I'll be giving input. Wow. Like, I'll pause the video and all that. Pretty short video. It's only like 13 minutes, but I have a lot to say. I will preface this with saying like I saw some of it when I was at work last night. I was just listening to it. I was just like listening to a whole bunch of different shit people had to say. So I listened to a bit of it, but I wasn't like really in the zone to grasp all of what he said. So we're just gonna play this.
Good
Hopefully
evening
this
and
is loud
welcome to
enough.
Tucker Carlson Tonight. Kanye West, now known as Ye, is one of the best-selling musical artists in the world. He has also in recent years become a celebrated and very highly paid fashion designer. And of course, for a decade, he was well known to TV audiences as an in-law of the Kardashian family. But it's West's latest incarnation as a kind of Christian evangelist that brought us to his office in Los Angeles today for the interview you're about to see. Days ago, during Fashion Week in Paris, West, accompanied by his friend Candace Owens, unveiled a T-shirt that read simply, "White Lives Matter." The response from the fashion industry and international media was,
Bro. Come on. Like, come on. You see this shit? Like they knew it was gonna be controversial. It's two black people wearing White Lives Matter shirt. With the white gay hairdresser in the back. Mind you.
instantaneous and
Also, not sure if he's gay. Just assumed. Don't ever do that. Bad thing to do.
uniform. Shock, horror, rage. There is no excuse for this, thundered the New York Times. West is legitimizing extremism, shrieked Rolling Stone, etc., etc. What was strikingly missing from the coverage, however, was any explanation for why West did this. What was the T-shirt about? No one seemed to think to ask him, much less to listen to what he had to say. Instead, the enemies of his ideas dismissed West, as they have for years, as mentally ill. Too crazy to take seriously. Look away, ignore him. He's a mental patient. There's nothing to see here. But is West crazy?
I don't think people thought he was mentally ill because of the shirt. I just think people think that he's like fucking retarded or something. Not that being retarded is a mental. I'm digging myself a grave here. People probably think he's just stupid. They just probably think his political views or some shit are stupid. I don't think anybody thinks Kanye is mentally ill for doing this specifically. The mental illness talks comes from like the random episodes he'll have on Twitter. And then he'll be like, "Oh, they think I'm crazy because they're not in my control." Like, bruh, nobody thinks he's mentally ill because of this specific situation here. I don't know. That's just my opinion. You guys go about.
You can
however it
judge
is.
for yourself as you watch what we're about to show you. He has his own ideas, we can say that. Creative people tend to. That's why they're artists, not actuaries. His freeform social media posts give the impression of a man channeling his rawest emotions.
Also,
right
I
onto
know y'all
Instagram.
see
The effect
the
can be
Optic
jarring,
Phase
and it's often
collab
used as ammunition against
face
him
up
in the battle for
one day.
influence
One
over
day
the
we gonna
minds
make it
of
one day.
America's young people, and that battle is intense. But crazy? That was not our conclusion. In fact, we've rarely heard a man speak so honestly and so movingly about what he believes. But again, you can judge for yourself. Here it is.
Oh, I'm a judge, all right.
So you just came from Paris
No
Fashion Week.
Aaron.
You just landed, and you have a lanyard still on from it, and there's a photograph on it. What is that?
It's a photograph of a baby's ultrasound.
Why is that? And that you designed that?
Yes.
Why? What does that mean?
It just represents life. I'm pro-life.
Boy, so you wear it on a badge. What kind of response do you get? And good, amen. I agree.
I don't care about people's responses. I care about the fact that there's more black babies being aborted than born in New York City at this point. That 50% of black death in America is abortion. So,
Not gonna lie, that's crazy. I know he's pro-life. My stance on abortion is I don't like it. I would prefer not to kill the baby, but that's not up to me. Um, yeah, that's not my decision to be making. I would like to have input in the decision, but ultimately that's not my decision to be making. But I would just rather keep the child. But like I said, not my decision to be making.
I really don't care about people's responses. I perform for an audience of one, and that's God.
I'm starting to see why they want to make you.
Also, like to reiterate, that stat is fucking insane. If that stat is real, that stat is insane. But notice how he says New York City, a place I live in. You got to remember it's not the most it's not like the cheapest place to live in. Like it's very hard to live here. A lot of people are on social security, um welfare, all that. So you can see why someone wouldn't want to bring a child into the economy of New York, right? Now, if he gave me like an average of the whole black population in the United States, it would be different. But I'm pretty sure like regular people can see like why you wouldn't want to have a baby in New York City, like why you wouldn't feel safe bringing up a baby in those conditions when you can barely support yourself here. Uh, it's really hard. So yeah, and it's like not to be racist or anything. Like there's a lot of white people that are well off here. Majority. This is I have no stats for this. Completely anecdotal. I live in the South Bronx. Majority of the people that live in the projects, I don't live in the projects, but I live near the projects. Majority of the people that live in the projects are minorities. So you wouldn't want to bring a baby up or a kid up in that condition. Especially like right now, the Bronx is like fucking wild. Like the wildest I've seen in my lifetime. Only 23. So yeah.
Be quiet. How? When did you start to feel this way? When did you start to realize this?
I really felt like, I think I started to really feel this need to express myself on another level when Trump was running for office and I liked him.
Yes.
And every single person in Hollywood, from my ex-wife to my mother-in-law to my manager at that time to my so-called friends slash handlers around me, told me like if I said that I like Trump, that my career would be over, that my life would be over. They said stuff like people get killed for wearing a hat like that. They threatened my life. They put my life. They basically said that I would be killed for wearing the hat. I had someone call me last night and said anybody wearing a White Lives Matter shirt is going to be greenlit, and that means that they're going to beat them up if they wear it. And I'm like, okay, green light me then. God builds warriors in a different way.
Brother. Kanye West has like the mindset, like he acts like a delinquent child, right? Like you tell a child no, don't do that, and he wants to go do that. Like I'm pretty sure if someone told him like if you wear a BLM shirt, like they're gonna like they'll people will spaz on you. He'll wear the BLM shirt, 100%. like in my this is my opinion. In my opinion, if media was in favor of, well, not like traditional media like news and shit. If social media was in favor of like right wing policies or like crazy shit and was in favor of like white people, then if someone told Kanye that wearing a Black Lives Matter shirt is gonna greenlight him, he would have wore a Black Lives Matter shirt. That's just how I think Kanye operates. He operates like a kid who gets told no, and because he gets told no, he wants to go do it. Oh,
I don't know if it's because of me being born in Atlanta and growing up on the south side of Chicago that, you know, he made me for such a time like this. It's like with David, you know, he tended to the sheep, but while he was out there, he had to fight all kinds of animals. So when it was time for Goliath to come, you thought because he was a sheep herder that he didn't have the skill set to take down Goliath. And the thing that I have is the position, I have my heart, but the number one thing is we have God on our side. And for the people, even if you don't believe in God, God believes in you.
So you made reference to the White Lives Matter T-shirt, which you
um, Kanye is very religious. He's gone on a very religious path. I have absolutely like no problem with that. Um, there's people who make their decisions based off religion. No problem with that. So I really have no comment here. I don't believe in like religion. I do believe in a higher power, but I just think religion is there to separate. Um, but I have no problem with like people that are religious basing their beliefs off of a religion. It gives them some type of structure. Anything that gives you structure is ultimately good. Yeah. So no comment on that, or not no comment, but I'm indifferent to it.
brought out at Paris Fashion Week.
Yeah.
Why did you do that, and what did it mean?
You know, I do certain things from a feeling. I just channel the energy. It just feels right. It's using a gut instinct, a connection with God, and just brilliance. You know, like as if you asked like Tanya Harding how she did the triple flip or the triple spin.
Yeah.
She was in so much practice that when it was time for her to skate in a competitive format, it just happened. Like it happened outside of practice. It happened in the real format, and that's what's happening. Is God is like preparing us for the real battles, and we are in a battle with the media. Like the majority of the media has a godless agenda, and the jokes in that work and this whole like, oh yeah, he's crazy and all these things, they don't work because the media has, you know, they've also watched travesties happen, just even specifically to me, and just watch it and act like it wasn't happening, and they stay quiet about it.
What have they?
So, I want to answer the white.
Yeah.
I feel like someone caught what I was saying.
Or from what he's saying, it just felt right. The media is a godless media. To me, this just furthers my belief that he just does shit because he knows it's gonna get some type of crazy attention, right? Uh like whether or not it's true, I don't know. But that's just how it comes off, right? Because he asks why he did it, and he goes, "Oh, it just felt right." And his definition of things feeling right is when other people think that it's wrong.
Comparison to Tanya Harding about the White Lives Matter. You know, my dad is an educated ex-Black Panther, and he put a text to me today. He said, "White Lives Matter, ha 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 ha." And I said, I thought the shirt was a funny shirt. I thought the idea of me wearing it was funny. And
It is.
I said, "Dad, why do you think it was funny?" He said, just a Black man stating the obvious. Yeah. And you know, my dad doesn't listen to rap music, and he's like super educated. We opened up a water distribution center in the Dominican Republic together. He's like the original Steve Jobs, but he was getting blocked every which way with all of his ideas, and he didn't have an endless bank account, and he didn't have an Instagram. So all these ideas, he had to like take them back and compress them. Like my dad is the most brilliant person that I know, and we actually have a strained relationship because I was taken from him because my mom was an actress, so she was a liberal.
Okay. First thing, what I'm gonna say, yeah, him wearing the shirt is funny. Um, his dad saying that it's funny because he's a black man stating the obvious is literally why it's funny. It's like irony. But that's also why people are so angry at Kanye. Is because yeah, you're stating the obvious. Black Lives Matter was not an obvious thing. Uh because obviously black people are still dying. I don't know the stats, but it feels like every time you watch the news, that's what the media is pushing. Is like black people dying and all that shit. Whether it's to like police violence, other people. Um, so yeah, it's like pretty much that's literally why people are mad because he is stating the obvious. He's giving attention to a subject that doesn't need attention to be brought to. And when he could be giving that attention to black people, he could be sorry, the door just slammed. Someone just walked out the house. But he could be giving that attention to black people or black businesses, black companies, but instead he's wearing a White Lives Matter shirt because he thinks it's funny. And that's why people are angry.
Liberal. And my dad would see certain things and say, you know, we should do it this way, we should do it that way. And the people got around my mom and pulled her away, much like, you know, Kim is a Christian, but she has people who want her to go to Interview Magazine and put her ass out while she's a 40-something-year-old multi-billionaire with 4 black children. And this is how fashion wants to, how they want to present her.
Bro, what? Kim is willingly doing this shit. She does not have to do this. She's willingly deciding to put her ass on the internet. Okay? There is no one's putting a gun to her head talking about, yo, bitch, get on this cover. Your ass is fat. I need to see that. No one's doing that. Like, there's she's like he said, she's a multi-billionaire. There's like she does not need to do that. She can choose whether or not she wants to do that. Don't get me wrong. Love Kim Kardashian. Love the way she looks. But I also like what she's doing for herself, what she does for her kids, you know. She's doing like the lawyer shit, fighting for like people that are incarcerated wrongly. She's doing like a whole bunch of dope shit, but nobody is but it's like on top of that, she's also showing her ass. Which is fine, but no one's forcing her to do that. So I don't get like what his like take here is, what his stance here is, like on that's how the media wants to portray her, but she's allowing that to happen. She doesn't have to allow that to happen.
So I know you give these questions, and I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Following? Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt "White Lives Matter," it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So, by which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah.
Oh, Tucker. Do you hear the way he said that? Let's run that back real quick, right?
Great to see a black man stating.
I give you like these 3-part answers. Is this a cool format for you?
Yeah, I love it.
Following? Okay, cool.
And I am following it.
All right.
So you said that your father said when he saw the shirt "White Lives Matter," it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. So, by which
His father did not say it's great to see a black man stating the obvious. He said that it's funny to see the black man stating the obvious. Okay, Tucker with the crazy word twist. It's one word, but it means a lot. Because it's not great to see a black man stating that. He said it's funny. Funny and great are not the equivalent. Look at how he rewords that in favor of the white man. Like this is obvious. This right here is obvious.
Which I think you meant that's obviously true.
Yeah, that my favorite response, because I kept on thinking like,
Yeah.
people, they're looking for an explanation, and people say, well, as an artist, you don't have to give an explanation, but as a leader, you do.
Yes, I think that's right.
So the answer to why I wrote White Lives Matter on a shirt is because they do. It's the obvious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And no one's denying that. No, literally zero people. Zero. I think zero people deny it. Nobody's sitting here saying white lives don't matter. It's just the fact that there's already attention. There's history in American culture on them showing why the white lives matter. But there's no history of them showing why black lives matter. So it's not about trying to dethrone that idea. Nobody's trying to like say they don't matter. They're just bringing the attention to, hey, the black lives matter equally as much. See, I would have been more fine if he wore an all lives matter shirt because that's like equality. Also, we're forgetting white lives matter is not used to bring awareness to white lives. It was used as like a retaliation to Black Lives Matter. It's like the black people picked up the sword and they used the white lives matter as the shield to retaliate. Right? It's not about even bringing awareness. It's just to be dickheads to Black Lives Matter basically. It's like there was no real purpose behind it other than to make black people angry. And yeah, that's pretty much that.
Why do you think that's so? And I assume the implication is, of course, all lives matter because they're lives, because God created them.
Yeah.
Why do you think that that would be considered controversial?
Because the same people that have stripped us of our identity and labeled us as a color have told us what it means to be black and the vernacular that we're supposed to have. My dad grew up as a military brat, and his family moved around.
Okay, first of all, I agree. Black American culture is what white people have put us in. Our culture was because of white people. And I'm not saying it's because that's how white people acted. It's because that's how white people, it's the situations that the white people put us in, right? So our culture is basically struggle. We have struggle culture, right? I don't know if I'm like fucking dark enough. I think the bright ass light on my face doesn't do justice to my skin color. I'm like a brown, but not this light how it seems on the camera. But I am like a darker shade than what the camera shows, right? Now, I'm not disagreeing with what he just said, but what he just said did not answer that question. And I feel like he's about to go on a whole nother rant that does not answer that question.
But they were based mostly in Delaware. And at the time,
He asked why that's controversial, and the statement he just gave is not why it was controversial at all.
if they weren't the only black family, they were one of the few. And he would be discriminated against because he was black. So by the time he got into college, he would be discriminated against. He went to a black college, he would be discriminated against because they said he talked too white.
Yes.
And then he played the kick drum in the band. So when he would go to the club and the music was playing, where would he clap his hands? where the kick drum is.
Yeah.
So it's the opposite of where everyone else
Right,
was
exactly.
clapping their hands. And this is the most elegant and tasteful person that I know. And
I will say this: going to school in a pretty much white area of the Bronx, right? We went to school in Morris Park, in a school called PS83 public school, but it was very Morris Park is a very Italian Albanian dominated spot. Uh, I do like quote unquote I speak how white people talk, or I speak properly, right? Or at least I know how to. I can code switch, but I have to code switch in order in certain situations. I'm forced to. I'm not gonna go up to white people and be like, "Yo, it's good, my G." That's just not gonna happen. Um, but yeah, I know how to code switch. I think as a black person, you're kind of forced into code switching sometimes. Um, but yeah, there were times where I would speak proper and people would hear it and they'd be like, "Yo, why do you speak so proper?" And yeah, that is a thing that people look at you differently for, and you just gotta deal with that.
when
My
my
mom,
mom, when they went,
my mom just came in and said, "Are you watching this bozo?"
when the school suggested like the herding systems, because what they do is take the black community and they separate us, and they separate the families, and the educated, they push this, need for higher education, and us as blacks, we discriminate against each other and say, well, I got my PhD and you don't have your PhD, so I'm better than you. And so my mom, she had a PhD, and she was influenced to move to the south side of Chicago and take this job at Chicago State University. And she told my dad, if you come for us, you'll never see him again. Because, the media ridiculed me for getting the house next door to Kim to see my children. And they even said that I was stalking her and her new boyfriend because I bought the house next door to see my children. And that's how I knew that my mom had said that to him. I said, Dad, they moved us to one of the most agreed upon to be one of the most dangerous places in the world. It's almost like they tried to kill me or something. I said, Dad, why'd you never come to get us? And that's when he told me that she was told that. There's so many things that are put in Kim.
I do want to say the media did do Kanye West extremely dirty when he got a house across the street so he could see his kids. There was no stalker behavior like that. He simply just got a home so he can be closer to his kids so it's not a hassle to see his kids, right? Um, it was a hassle to see my father because he lived in a whole different fucking borough and that's way closer, like most people. And even that was a hassle because I'm little, can't take the train. Right? There's people who have kids that live in completely different fucking states. You know how hard it is to try and see your kids when your kid lives in a whole different state? There was nothing wrong with him getting a house to go see his kids. So it could be an easier access for the kids. So he's not having to fly the kids on planes. He could just fly to the kids and there's a place for them to stay already. And there's a place for them to see his father or the place for them to see their father, right? So there was nothing wrong with that. The media did Kanye West completely dirty in that situation. It was unfair. I don't know why the media is like that. There's certain things that you could ridicule people for, but you don't have to make everything that they do a negative thing, right? Just because someone does one certain thing wrong doesn't mean their whole lifestyle or their like every opinion that they have is wrong. You should be intelligent enough to pick out and understand what's wrong and what's right, and the media is just full of things that are wrong.
Kim's head. They bring influencers. Like, no one ever knew where Corey Gamble came from. No one in the fashion world knows where Gabby came from. These people were practically made in a laboratory, in my opinion. And one of the things that they're really good at doing is being nice and being likable. And what they do is, for people that have some form of influence, whether it's an educated black woman like my mother that became the head of the English department at Chicago State University, or whether it's the most influential white woman on the planet, being my ex-wife. They have people.
It's funny. I don't feel like a lot of the community, the black community. No, I don't feel like the white community sees her as white. I don't think the black community sees her as black. I think she's like middle ground. I think Kim is like her own fucking race at this point. Like you have white, black, and then there's like Kim Kardashian, right? Because she's like Armenian or something, right? But her skin color is like a very like a tan color. Like you could tell like she's like off white. Um, yeah,
That are around them at all times, telling them what to be afraid of. It's like not what to do or say specifically, it's what to be afraid of. And if you have a person that isn't afraid of them, you know, like a Russell Brand or Candace Owens,
right.
or it's not that we have to agree
No.
with this, but
They're not afraid.
they're not afraid to state what their opinion is.
Yes.
No one is God, and everyone has an opinion.
So a conversation like this is a window into a world that you don't
Okay.
see. So if you're familiar with
stopping right there. Yeah, in my opinion, Kanye has the wrong idea on why people are in flames about this. I saw in another clip he was talking about like how black people need to own property. You know, why don't we own property, whatever. He has the right idea for where he wants black people to be. His messaging for it is so poor, and his propaganda for it is so poor. You don't get black people on your side by wearing White Lives Matter shirts, right? Because that's almost like you're siding with an opposition, right? I'm telling you, it would have been like 100 times better if he wore like a fucking All Lives Matter shirt, no bullshit. But it's the fact that he's siding uh, with a race that like came up with White Lives Matter as just a retaliation to Black Lives Matter instead of trying to bring actual awareness to white lives. It was more like, yo, we're making White Lives Matter to shit on Black lives, right? So that's not how you get supporters or anything. Um, there was a couple questions in there where he just did not like answer the question, especially that last one. But yeah, that's just Kanye. That's how Kanye operates. I really do truly feel like he operates on shock factor and shock value, because you just don't like it's like a trend of his now at this point. Like whatever the media is pushing, he'll just push back against it to push back against it, I feel. Um but yeah, that's my take on that. Right? Kanye is Kanye. I don't think he's crazy. I just don't agree with some shit he says, and some shit he says he could just get across better. But I do think his idea of like where he wants black people to be in the world is proper. Um just like the way he like says shit and goes about shit is just not the right way in my opinion. Um but at the end of the day, my message, right? I don't even like getting into politics like that. My message is like a person for who they are, not for their political beliefs. You and someone who has, if you had like a person who's like a Democrat and a person who's a Republican, you can still be friends with that person. Political belief should not determine whether or not you like somebody, right? Because they can have like the most respect for you. They can just be a good person in general. Just their beliefs might be a little bit different, right? Now, I'm not talking about like an extremist. Like, all right, if someone's like an extremist, then that's like completely different. But like a regular like right wing person and a regular what left wing person is like there's not like a crazy difference. Like if you're raised right, you're raised right. Like good manners and all that. But yeah, that's just my message. I mean, I don't think Kanye should have wore the shirt. I don't think wearing the shirt was the right way to get his message across. And I don't think he understands that either. Um, and who am I to tell him how he should understand it? But that's just my opinion. I just feel like the more opinions you have on something added into the universe, people can make their own opinion. So this is just my opinion of many other opinions that are probably on YouTube or TikTok or some shit that are in the universe for you to base your own opinion on. That's what it is, you know. Thank you for watching this video, YouTube. Right, because this is going on YouTube. As you can see, the socials are like all up here, like like right here, all above my box. And yeah, see you.